My boyfriend sexually assaulted me while I was sleeping, and when I confronted him, his mom, who treated me like a daughter, tried to destroy my life with lies. I, 20 female, never thought I would be writing this post. My life has been pretty normal until this happened, and I don't want people telling me this is fake because it isn't. I have been dealing with this for months, and it has taken a lot out of me to even write this down. I am using a throwaway because my friends know my main account and I can't risk them finding out this way. I met Henry, 21 male, during orientation week at college. We were both freshmen and ended up in the same friend group. I was immediately drawn to him because he seemed different from other guys. He was quiet, respectful, and actually listened when people talked. We started hanging out more in our group, studying together in the library, and getting coffee between classes. I come from a very conservative family. My parents never let me date in high school. My dad always said boys only want one thing, and I would thank him later for protecting me. Mom was slightly more understanding but still insisted I focus on studies. They sent me to an all-girls school and monitored my social media until I left for college. I guess that's why I was so naive about everything. Henry and I started dating about 8 months ago. He was my first real boyfriend and I was his first girlfriend too. Looking back, maybe we were both too inexperienced to handle a relationship. But everything seemed perfect at first. He would walk me to classes, remember small details about things I liked, and never pressured me for anything physical. His family was amazing too. They lived about an hour from campus and I started going home with him on some weekends. His mom Lauren treated me like the daughter she never had. She would cook my favorite meals and teach me family recipes. His sister Gemma was 2 years younger than us, but we clicked instantly. She would show me old family photos and tell me embarrassing stories about Henry. Even his dad Mike, who was usually quiet, would make an effort to include me in family discussions. Things started changing around the 3-month mark. Our dates that used to be creative and fun, like exploring the city or trying new restaurants, turned into just watching movies at his place or mine. The physical stuff increased gradually. At first it was just kissing, then making out, then more. I wasn't completely uncomfortable because I did like him, but sometimes it felt like that's all we did anymore. I tried bringing up doing other activities, but Henry would say he was tired from classes or wanted alone time with me. I convinced myself this was normal. My roommate Lisa said all relationships eventually settle into routines. But I missed the emotional connection we used to have. The incident happened on a Tuesday night. I remember it clearly because I had a big presentation the next day. Henry stayed over because we were studying late. Lisa was visiting her family, so I let him sleep in her bed. We had done this before and nothing had ever happened. I trusted him completely. I woke up around 3 a.m. to a strange sensation. At first I thought I was dreaming, but then I felt his hands clearly. He was touching me under my shirt, his hands moving higher. I completely froze. My mind couldn't process what was happening. This was Henry, my sweet, respectful Henry who always asked before even kissing me. I shifted slightly, hoping he would stop. He did pause for a moment and I heard him whisper my name. When I didn't respond, his hands started moving again, this time lower. I wanted to scream, to push him away, to do something. But my body wouldn't move. All those self-defense lessons my dad made me take went out the window. I don't know how long it lasted. Eventually I managed to roll over and curl into a ball. He must have thought I was moving in my sleep because he went back to his bed. I lay there awake until morning, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would burst. When morning came, he acted completely normal. He kissed my forehead, thanked me for letting him stay over, and left for his 8 a.m. class. I skipped my presentation. I couldn't stop shaking. I took the longest shower of my life but still felt dirty. I spent the whole day in a daze. Lisa called to check if I was okay since she heard I missed the presentation. I couldn't tell her. The words wouldn't come out. How do you tell someone that your perfect boyfriend, the guy everyone thinks is so sweet and respectful, sexually assaulted you? I finally texted him that evening. I still have the messages saved. I asked him directly what he thought he was doing last night. His first response was confusion, claiming he didn't know what I was talking about. When I pressed further, he said he was half asleep and didn't remember much. But then he slipped up. He mentioned checking if I was awake by calling my name. That's when I knew it was deliberate. He had checked to make sure I was asleep before touching me. The realization made me throw up. Memories of other incidents started flooding back. Times when I would wake up with my bra unhooked when I know I fell asleep with it on. Nights when my pajama bottoms seemed lower than where I remembered them being. I had always brushed these off, thinking I was a restless sleeper. Now every memory felt tainted. His family kept reaching out. Lauren called multiple times asking why I missed Sunday dinner. Gemma sent worried texts asking if we had fought. Henry's dad even emailed asking if everything was okay. Each message felt like a knife in my gut. These people had welcomed me into their family, treated me like their own. How could I tell them their son was a predator? The panic attacks started a few days later. The first one hit during a lecture when someone sat too close to me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I ran out of class crying. My grades started dropping. I couldn't sleep without the lights on. Every small touch made me jump. Henry kept trying to fix things. He left apology notes and gifts outside my door. Long messages about how sorry he was, how he would never do it again, how he would get help. But all I could think about was him checking if I was asleep before violating me. I'm lost now. Breaking up means losing his whole family who have become like my own. It means potentially having to tell people why. It means accepting that my first relationship, the one I thought was perfect, was built on lies. But staying means living with this constant fear, always wondering if he's really asleep when he touches me. I can't talk to my parents. Dad would say he warned me about boys and Mom would blame me for sleeping in the same room as a guy. I can't tell our mutual friends because they would have to choose sides. I can't even tell Lisa because she thinks Henry is perfect for me. I feel completely alone. Sometimes I question if I'm overreacting. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe he really was half asleep. But then I remember him checking if I was awake and I feel sick all over again. I don't know what to do anymore. Any advice would help. Update 1. It has been 3 weeks since my original post. I want to thank everyone who commented and sent supportive messages. Reading your stories made me feel less alone. A lot has happened since then and I need to get it all out. None of it is good. I finally broke up with Henry last week. I couldn't take the anxiety anymore. Every time my phone buzzed with his messages, I felt sick. The gifts he kept leaving outside my door made me angry instead of touched. Each apology note felt more manipulative than the last. I chose to meet him at a coffee shop near campus. Lisa insisted on coming with me and sat at a nearby table. I needed that safety net. Henry showed up looking terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. For a moment, I almost felt bad for him. Then I remembered lying there frozen while he touched me, and my resolve strengthened. At first, he tried the same routine, crying and apologizing. He kept saying he would get help, that he would prove to me how sorry he was. He even pulled out pamphlets from a counseling center. Said he had already made an appointment. I sat there silently, letting him talk himself out. When he realized I wasn't responding to his apologies, his whole demeanor changed. It was like watching a mask slip off. His voice got cold and he leaned across the table. He said if I told anyone what happened, no one would believe me. Why would they, when I had stayed silent for weeks? He reminded me that I had let him sleep over multiple times. How would that look to people? Then he played his trump card. He threatened to tell my parents everything. Not just about that night, but about all the times we had been intimate consensually. He knew exactly what that would do to my relationship with my family. I felt like I couldn't breathe, but Lisa noticed and came over immediately. Henry left after that, but the damage was done. I thought that would be the worst part. I was wrong. 2 days later, Gemma showed up at my dorm unannounced. She was crying so hard she could barely speak. Through her sobs, she told me Henry had gone home and confessed everything to their parents, but with a twisted version of events. According to him, I had been pressuring him for physical stuff for months. He said he wasn't ready but I kept pushing. He told them I got aggressive when he refused and threatened to accuse him of assault if he didn't comply. He painted himself as the victim and me as some kind of predator. Lauren had apparently been crying for days, devastated that the girl she treated like a daughter would do this to her son. Mike was talking about calling my university to report my behavior. Gemma said she had never seen her parents so angry. I broke down and showed Gemma our text messages. The ones where Henry admitted what he did that night. The ones where he apologized for touching me while I was asleep. The ones where he begged me not to tell anyone. I watched her face turn white as she read them. She started crying harder and apologized repeatedly for believing him. She wanted me to show the text to their parents immediately. But Henry's threat about my parents kept ringing in my head. I couldn't risk it. Gemma promised to talk to her parents herself, but I begged her not to. I just wanted everything to stop. But things kept getting worse. Henry started spreading his version of events through our friend group. People I thought were friends started avoiding me in class. Girls I used to study with suddenly had other plans. Some guys started making suggestive comments when I walked past. I was barely holding it together when I got a message request on Instagram from a girl named Rachel. She said she went to high school with Henry and had seen my name connected to his on social media. What she told me made me physically sick. She had dated Henry briefly in their senior year. He had done similar things to her, touching her while she slept, then gaslighting her about it. She had been too scared to report it because his family was well respected in their small town. Then she told me something that broke me. I wasn't the second girl this had happened to. I was the fourth that she knew of. My grades kept dipping. I stopped going to most classes because I couldn't handle the whispers and stares. Lisa found me having a panic attack in our bathroom at 3 a.m. and refused to leave until I told her everything. She was furious. She wanted to report Henry to the university immediately. She even offered to go with me to the police. But I was still paralyzed with fear about my parents. If they found out any of this, they would pull me out of college immediately. I would lose the only independence I had ever had. I couldn't let that happen. The final breaking point came when Lauren called me. Her voice was unrecognizable, cold and filled with hate. She said she had loved me like a daughter, had welcomed me into their family, had defended me when others said I wasn't good enough for her son. Now I was trying to ruin his life with false accusations. I tried to speak but she wouldn't let me. She said I should be ashamed of myself for making up lies about such a serious thing. That girls like me made it harder for real victims to be believed. That she would make sure everyone knew what kind of person I really was. I blocked all their numbers after that. I couldn't take it anymore. Lisa's parents offered to let me stay with them for a while since I wasn't functioning in the dorm. My parents think I'm just taking a break to focus on studies since my grades dropped. Every day is still a struggle. I jump at unexpected touches. I can't sleep without checking the locks multiple times. But at least I'm away from him and his family. Lisa has been my rock through all this. Rachel and I text regularly, supporting each other. I don't know what happens next. But I know I can't stay silent anymore. Not when there are other girls he might hurt. Update 2. 2 months have passed since I left campus. A lot has happened and I need to share it. Writing here helps me process everything. Rachel and I have been talking almost daily. Through her, I connected with 3 other girls Henry assaulted in high school. Their stories are so similar to mine it makes me sick. The first girl, Ashley, dated him sophomore year. She tried reporting him to their school counselor but Henry's parents threatened to sue her family for defamation. They were wealthy and influential in their town, while her family was struggling financially. She was forced to change schools. The second girl, Maria, was too scared to tell anyone after seeing what happened to Ashley. She internalized everything and it ended up with severe anxiety. The third girl, Katie, was his lab partner. She never even dated him, but he assaulted her during a study session at his house. After weeks of supporting each other in our group chat, we decided to go to the police together. The detective who took our statements, Officer Martinez, was surprisingly understanding. She said that while it would be hard to prove the older cases without physical evidence, having multiple victims reporting similar patterns of behavior strengthened each individual case. The university launched their own investigation after receiving multiple complaints. Henry's parents immediately hired Anderson and Brooks, one of the most expensive law firms in the state. Their lawyer, James Wilson, has been aggressively contacting all of us. He offered Ashley $50,000 to sign an NDA and drop her complaint. He threatened Maria with a defamation lawsuit. Katie received emails listing all her past relationships, implying they would paint her as promiscuous if she proceeded. Lauren has been on a mission to destroy our reputations. She joined every parent group at the university and started spreading her version of events. According to her, we're all bitter ex-girlfriends conspiring to ruin her innocent son's life. She even found Katie's mother at church and caused a scene, calling Katie a liar in front of everyone. Then something unexpected happened. Gemma reached out through Lisa since I had blocked her number. She had been going through Henry's old devices while he was out and found a folder of screenshots. They were messages between Henry and his friends, spanning several years. In them, he bragged about what he did to girls while they slept. He shared details that made Gemma physically ill. Some of his friends even encouraged him. Gemma turned everything over to Officer Martinez. When her parents found out, they exploded. Mike slapped her and called her a traitor. Lauren threatened to cut her college fund. Gemma packed a bag and left that night. She's staying with their Aunt Clara, who always suspected something was off about Henry but could never prove anything. The hardest part was when my parents found out. One of Henry's friends from our study group ran into my mom at the grocery store. She lives in my hometown and told my mom everything, but Henry's version of events. My dad hasn't spoken a word to me since. When I tried explaining, he just walked away. My mom keeps calling to tell me how I've shamed the family. She says no one will want to marry me now that I'm tainted. She brought our pastor over to Lisa's house to pray for my soul. Only my younger sister Megan understands. She secretly visits me when she can and brings me updates from home. Henry dropped out when the investigation started. His lawyer has been working overtime to intimidate us into dropping the charges. He sent Rachel's parents documentation of every party she attended in high school, implying she was promiscuous. He had someone call Maria's workplace with anonymous complaints about her character. But we're not backing down anymore. Rachel's parents hired a victims' rights attorney to represent all of us. They remortgaged their house to pay the legal fees. Katie's older brother started a fundraiser to help cover our legal costs, and the support has been overwhelming. Former classmates have been reaching out with their own stories about Henry. The university investigation is still ongoing, but they've already suspended him pending the outcome. We have weekly meetings with Officer Martinez. The case is slowly building. Gemma's evidence was a game changer. Those messages show years of premeditated behavior. The hardest days are when I remember how close I was to his family. How Lauren taught me to make her secret recipe cookies. How Mike helped me pick out my first car. How Gemma and I plan to be roommates next year. All of that is gone now, replaced by threats and hatred. But I won't back down. Not anymore. Not when staying silent means he could hurt someone else. Update 3. It's been 6 months since everything started, and I finally feel ready to write this last update. The university investigation concluded last week. Henry has been permanently expelled. They found evidence that he had done similar things to 2 other girls on campus who were too scared to come forward earlier. The criminal case is moving forward slowly. Officer Martinez says the text messages Gemma found have been crucial. Henry's friends who encouraged him in those messages are being investigated as accessories. Some of them have started turning on him, offering to testify in exchange for immunity. Lauren made one last attempt to contact me. She showed up at Lisa's parents' house unannounced. She looked terrible, like she had aged years and months. She begged me to drop the charges, saying Henry was getting therapy and had changed. She said he was on medication now and understood what he did wrong. When I didn't respond, she broke down crying, saying I was destroying her family. Lisa's mom, who has become like a second mother to me, told Lauren to leave or she would call the police. Before leaving, Lauren screamed that I would regret this for the rest of my life. Gemma told me later that Henry is living with their uncle in Colorado now. Apparently, even Mike finally realized the truth when more girls came forward and told Henry he needed to leave the state. I'm transferring to a different college next semester. I can't handle being on the same campus where it happened. Every building, every path holds memories I want to forget. Lisa decided to transfer with me. She says she can't trust our old friends anymore, not after seeing how quickly they believed Henry's lies. We found an apartment near the new campus and move in next month. My parents still aren't speaking to me. Mom sent a message through Megan saying I'm welcome home if I drop the charges and seek forgiveness from Henry and his family. Dad still won't even acknowledge my existence. But Megan visits whenever she can. She's helping me find a support group in the new city and has been researching affordable therapy options. Rachel, Ashley, Maria, and Katie have become like sisters to me. We have a group chat where we support each other through bad days. Ashley finally told her parents the full truth and they're supporting her now. Maria started a blog about surviving assault that's helping other girls speak up. Katie is working with a victims advocacy group at her college. The fundraiser Katie's brother started has raised enough to cover our legal fees and therapy costs. People from our hometown have been sharing their own stories about Henry. A girl from his middle school revealed he had harassed her too. It seems like he's been doing this since he was very young. Gemma is the only one from his family I still talk to occasionally. She's struggling with cutting ties with her parents but says she couldn't live with herself if she had stayed silent. Her Aunt Clara is helping her apply to colleges in different states. She wants a fresh start away from her family's toxic influence. I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago. Some days are still hard. I still have nightmares and panic attacks. But I'm getting stronger. The new college has a good counseling program and Lisa and I are both going to therapy. We're planning to join a self-defense class together. I won't let Henry or his family contact me ever again. They showed who they really are when they chose to protect a predator instead of his victims. Sometimes I miss the family I thought they were, but I know now it was all fake. To anyone going through something similar, you're not alone. It's not your fault. Speaking up is terrifying, but staying silent only protects the abusers. I'm finally starting to believe that myself. This will be my last update. Thank you all for your support through this journey. It's time for me to focus on healing and building a new life.